Just out of military service, Jungkook heads straight to grandmother's grave. Not home, not to HOI with someone who just regained his freedom, walk past luxury, fame, and family, just to stand in silence before a grave. As fans around the world held their breath for Jungkook's long-awaited return from South Korea's mandatory military service, expecting reunion hugs, cheers, and maybe even a celebratory live stream, no one expected what happened next. He didn't go home. He didn't go to the dorms. He didn't head to HYB headquarters for a debrief, nor to the flashy black van waiting to escort him through waves of screaming fans. Instead, Jungkook asked for quiet. He asked for privacy, and he asked to be driven straight to the resting place of his beloved grandmother. This wasn't a PR move. There were no cameras, no planned content, just a man in uniform, walking slowly between headstones, with the weight of 18 months away from the world pressed into his shoulders and into his heart. The news, leaked by a close source and later softly confirmed through HYB's inner circle, has left armies stunned and emotional. Why the grave first? Why not the comfort of home, the warmth of family, the cheers of waiting fans? Perhaps the answer is simpler than it seems. Because when the world feels loud, the heart returns to where it once found peace. And for Jungkook, that peace always pointed to his grandmother, a woman he's spoken about in past interviews with unshakable tenderness. She raised him. She was there before the fame. She held his hand long before Army ever heard his voice. And her loss in 2019 shook him. Quietly, deeply, without spectacle. Now, after 548 days of duty, discipline, and reflection, his first step back into civilian life wasn't into a spotlight, but into a memory. Imagine it. The military base gate opens. Flashbulbs wait. Reporters hold breath. But the youngest BTS member, forever called the Golden Magne, slips away in a simple car, his eyes not on the cameras, but on the sky. Not toward celebration, but toward closure. He doesn't speak. He doesn't pose. He just goes. And in doing so, tells us more than any words ever could. Because this isn't the move of a pop star. This is the choice of a grandson. And to fans who have watched Jungkook grow from a wide-eyed 15-year-old into a reflective man who writes, composes, and sings from his soul, this gesture, this first destination, has hit harder than any performance ever could. Fan communities. The reaction has been immediate and overwhelming. I can't stop crying. This is so pure. He didn't think of awards or media. He thought of her. This is the Jungkook I know. The one who loved quietly but fiercely. She must be so proud of him, from wherever she is. He didn't just go to the grave. He went home. On Korean fan forums, the act is being described as Han Namja Sinjung, the pure devotion of a man. And for armies who remember Jungkook's emotional silence when news of his grandmother's passing broke in 2019, he was on tour at the time and only issued a simple, respectful message. This moment feels like a continuation of something unfinished. Something he had waited, perhaps too long, to complete. N.O. grand statements, N.O. dramatic tears, just presence, just time, just love, carried through quiet. And yet, the silence is deafening. IT echoes louder than any live stream could have. IT says, before I show the world who I am now, I have to go back to who I was. Back to the woman who fed him before rehearsals, who waited up when he came home late from practice, who probably couldn't imagine the heights her grandson would reach, and who never asked for anything in return except maybe his time, his smile, his heart. And today, he gave her all three. While media headlines race to guess BTS's next comeback, or analyze Jungkook's emotional interview clips, or speculate about unit albums and solo deals, Jungkook gave us something far more real. He reminded us that being an idol is a job. Being a grandson? That's forever. This moment, raw, unfiltered, and deeply human, is exactly why millions love him. Not just because he's talented, not just because he's beautiful, but because beneath the choreography, the platinum plaques, and the legendary performances, there is still a boy who never forgot where he came from, but a boy who ran, not toward applause, but toward love that never asked for any. And that That is the heart of Jungkook. Welcome back, Jungkook. Your grandmother saw you come home first, and we're right behind her, ready when you are. And perhaps that's what makes this return unlike any other, because in a world that expected spectacle, Jungkook chose sincerity, in a culture trained to spotlight triumph. He chose tribute. While fans waited to see the flash of a smile, his signature bunny-like laugh, or maybe even a dance teaser or welcome home photo shoot from HYB, he chose solitude. He chose silence. He chose her, and armies, who have grown with him for over a decade, felt it. They felt the weight of his first steps, not on a red carpet, but on soft earth, not with lights, but under the open sky, not with music playing, but with memories whispering through the breeze. Jungkook's choice wasn't just personal, it was symbolic, because if military service changed him, as it undoubtedly does for many Korean men, then this quiet pilgrimage marked the transition. From soldier back to son, from idol back to grandson, from a man who served his country to a man who still serves the people he loves, even those who have passed. And fans are reading into every detail with reverence. His uniform, still pressed, his eyes, reportedly red, not from exhaustion, but emotion. The flowers he brought, yellow and white, quiet symbols of loyalty and remembrance. The way he lingered, standing motionless for minutes, as if listening for her voice in the wind. Fan art and tweets. The scene is already becoming legend. Not an official MV, but something realer, a moment that, though undocumented by press, will live forever in the mythology of BTS. And while the public prepares for Jimin and Jungkook's possible unit release, while countdown clocks tick toward comeback rumors and whispers of a world tour grow louder, this single act may remain the most unforgettable because it was for no one but himself, or maybe for just one person. And if you've ever lost someone who shaped you, someone who saw you before the world did, someone who believed in your dreams before you even knew what they were, then you understand exactly what Jungkook did. He went back to say, "I did it. I kept going. I'm still yours." It's something no chart position can measure, and no headline can sell, and no scandal could ever overshadow. This was Jungkook at his most vulnerable and most powerful, because in K-pop, where noise and attention are currencies, Jungkook just reminded the entire industry that sometimes silence is the loudest message of all. And now, ARMY waits, not just for music, not just for content, but for Jungkook, reborn, renewed, recentered, and maybe, when he's ready, he'll sing about this moment, or maybe he won't. Maybe this visit will remain untouched. A sacred memory not for Weverse or press conferences, but for himself. A private promise, honored in full view of the sky. Either way, fans know this. The man who came back is not the same as the boy who left, and he's not trying to be, because Jungkook has always grown at his own pace, loved in his own language, and moved the world, not by performing it, but by living it to the millions waiting on his next step. You already witnessed the most important one. He came home, not to a stage, not to a spotlight, but to the one who loved him first. And that was the Real. Encore .1 only she could hear, and somehow we all felt it too. And maybe, just maybe, that quiet encore is all the louder because it wasn't meant for us. Maybe that's what makes it linger, because long after the flowers at her grave begin to wilt, long after the media moves on to the next viral moment, and long after comeback promotions flood timelines again, this one silent gesture will remain frozen in time for ARMY. A holy fragment. A still photograph in the fast-moving slideshow of stardom. And that moment. Jungkook wasn't a superstar. He wasn't the golden magne. He wasn't a fashion icon or Billboard chart topper or global ambassador. He was a grandson who missed someone, and for the first time in a long time, he finally had a chance to tell her, "I'm back. I did it. I love you." And that raw, unguarded love. That's the heartbeat armies have followed from the beginning. Not just the perfect vocals, the viral choreography, or the stage presence that shuts down stadiums. It's this, the boy behind a legend. The man who still remembers where he came from. The one who walks away from flashing lights to kneel at a gravestone. That choice speaks louder than any encore. It echoes deeper than any fan chant. because it reminds us all, the best of Jungkook has never been what the cameras captured, but what they missed. And if this is who he is after the military, more grounded, more reflective, more real than ever, then we're not just getting our idol back, we're watching a human being become whole. And oh, filters. No concept photos, just Jungkook, with everything stripped away except love. And now, with this emotional weight carried and honored, he is free to take his next step. Maybe that will be music. Maybe it will be silence again. Maybe it will be a slow re-entry into the chaotic orbit of BTS. But whatever comes, ARMY knows it will be true. True to himself, true to his story, and true to her. The woman who shaped him before the world. The question shifts. It's no longer, when is Jungkook's comeback? It's, what will he carry with him now that he's home? Because grief never really leaves, but neither does love. And when the music returns, we will hear both, woven into lyrics, pressed into melodies, echoing in the smallest pauses, the breath between verses, the heartbeat behind every beat. That's what sets Jungkook apart. Not just his brilliance, but his depth. He doesn't just perform, he feels, he remembers, he returns. And when he does, it's not for spectacle. It's for something sacred. SO ARMY. Take this moment and hold it close before the comeback rush. Before the interviews, the stage lights, the late-night performances. Remember the boy who walked to a grave before he walked back to the world. Remember him, not because he needed you to see it, but because you felt it anyway. And in that unspoken moment, between uniform and memory, between loss and light, Jungkook showed us the quietest version of love, and somehow, it was the loudest he's ever been.